now that you have prepared everything you need and you are already talking to your suppliers, let's talk about a little bit the importance of following up with the suppliers. Okay, my name is Mark Hong and the founder of markhong.com. Okay, so follow up is king. Okay, especially when you are dealing with a supplier thousands and thousands of miles away from you. Okay, and so you want to make sure that you're always following up with your suppliers. Okay, don't expect things to be perfect the first time around. Okay, because it just simply doesn't happen that way. I'll be very jealous, in fact, if that ever happens to you. And do let me know. Okay, I'll be happy to hear from you. But in my own experience, that never happens. Okay, so expect a little bit of bump, right? Make sure that you make it a daily practice to communicate with your suppliers and ask them, very very friendly communication, and say, hey, what's going on? Where are we at with the production and things like that, right? You want to also confirm beforehand what their production schedule is. Very, very important, right? So if they promise you, okay, the production starts on May 15, okay, then you say, all right, wonderful. Okay, so what do you need me to do before that, right? And then a day or a couple days before May 15, and say, hey, are we still on, right? Is the production is still scheduled as we spoke? Okay, and you want to consistently ask them about the delivery status, right? Once the production starts, right? Say, okay, how are we going with the production? Is it going smoothly, right? Are we still on the same schedule, etc., right? So, don't be surprised, if sometimes the supplier will delay your production. It happens very, very often. They might they might have gotten their raw material late, okay, or there was electricity shortage, right? They were out of power for a few days or something like that, and the factory doesn't have a generator, so things like that. So many different reasons could delay the production, but make sure that you talk about that, right? You talk to them so you are prepared if you need to move your shipping schedule or something like that, right? Or in some cases, some clients that we deal with where they work with box store and things like that, they do have like a delivery schedule that the product must arrive at the certain time. If they don't, there will be a penalty, right? Then you want to make sure that that doesn't happen to you, right? You want to make sure also, and this is a side note, but when you are signing the contract with the supplier, that they must allow you, okay, they must make sure that it gets delivered before when, or right, what the penalty will be. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to keep progress report. Okay, you can build one of your own. Okay, just use like spreadsheet and things like that. And unfortunately, China cannot use Google. Okay, so Google Docs and Google Sheets doesn't work there. But if you build one of your own, okay, and then you can just manually check them off and make sure that is progressing accordingly. Okay, and you want to set up individual production progress checkpoint. Okay, so pre-production, when it was supposed to end, right? For example, you have 4 different checkpoints during the production, right? And you want to make sure that each one of them, okay, you set up a checkpoint on your sheet, okay, and final delivery, right, and schedule for inspection, etc. Okay, so you want to find out what your supplier's production schedule is, okay, and so you can build that progress report. Okay, another useful tip is when you are communicating with the factory, okay, phone calls obviously is the quickest way. Okay, you can also use Skype, okay, which is quite popular and used a lot by Chinese suppliers. Okay, but the most popular form of communication software in China is probably QQ, right? And if you have never heard of this thing before, you can simply Google it. Okay, go through it and pick up this communication software and get their QQ ID with your supplier, right? One of the reasons why I said do QQ because it's very likely that your supplier on their phone, okay, they spend every single minute of their waking hours, okay, on QQ. Okay, so it's very likely that you will be able to reach them even after hours. Okay, so so it's a great communication software. Okay, if you're working with a Chinese company, okay, QQ will help a lot. And another thing is if you are sourcing on Alibaba, then do install Ali Wang Wang, okay, or whatever they call it. But it's that communication software that Alibaba built for you to communicate with the supplier. I do usually find it a little bit slow to respond, but it's just another way that you can talk to your supplier, right? And having different methods of communicating with your supplier. If you don't reply right away, hey, send a message using a different software or something like that. Like I'm on them all the time. Okay, so all right, so let's do a little workshop. All right, so first, go to your computer, okay, and open up your spreadsheet and build a tracker sheet, okay, and lay out, and it doesn't need to be perfect initially, okay, as you go, okay, you can make it a little bit more complicated. So build whatever you can, but don't skip it, right? Make this a daily practice, have a tracker sheet, that you can use, okay, to track down the progress with your supplier, right? And then you want to establish daily checkpoints, okay, as much as possible, okay, that what you want, to check with your supplier, okay? And set up your own Ali Wang Wang or QQ account, okay, and start talking to your suppliers, and through Skype if you want. Okay, so that's it, and I will see you on the next video.